Welcome to Revelation Unraveled. I'm your host, William Tapley, also known as the Third Eagle of the Apocalypse and the co-prophet of these end times. A lot of my subscribers have asked me to comment on the situation in the Roman Catholic Church today, and that is regarding all of the sex scandals and the revelation that Pope Francis reinstated the predator Cardinal McCarrick, after he had been censured by Pope Benedict, thus disproving Francis's claim that he is not a cover-up for all of the scandals in the Catholic Church. And in fact, he is. I would not be surprised if he is part of it, but that's neither here nor there. The fact is, he is under fire, not only in the Catholic Church itself, especially by conservative groups such as Michael Voris, but many others, and in the media, even the satanic media, is attacking Pope Francis, which is extremely unusual. The reason is because he is not doing enough, and I believe he will have one of two options. He may do both, and both of which are found in the Bible. I believe that in order to reinstate himself, as far as public opinion goes, he will elicit sympathy, and he will do this the way Senator John McCain did. In other words, he will say that he has some kind of a wound or disease or maybe an assassination attempt. And I've mentioned this before. McCain was obviously a big phony. I don't believe he had brain cancer. He certainly didn't have an Achilles tendon injury, as he claimed, because one day he would photograph the brace on one leg, the next day he would photograph it on the other leg. It was all in-your-face sham. And of course, he was a total phony. He ran his entire campaign, this last Senate campaign, that he would vote to repeal and replace Obamacare. And of course, when the vote came, he did just the opposite, which is why he is a big hero with the deep state, and why his funeral was mainly an anti-Trump rally. So how would Pope Francis do this same thing in order to elicit sympathy with the public? Well, in the Bible it says that the Antichrist suffers a head wound. And of course you have to understand what that means. The Antichrist has 7 heads, and each of those heads have names of blasphemy. That simply means that the world's religious leaders will support the Antichrist. And the number one world religious leader who does support the Antichrist is the false prophet. So if Pope Francis is the false prophet, as I suspect he is, he will initiate some kind of a wound or disease or injury or assassination attempt that would elicit support from the general public. And that's what he needs at this moment. He needs some kind of distraction. And John, in the book of Revelation, says that this is a false flag, because he calls it a fatal wound, as it were. That's a direct quote from the book of Revelation. So we know that if in the next couple of weeks you hear that Pope Francis announces that he has brain cancer, a la John McCain, or there is an assassination attempt or something like that, we will know that it is all phony baloney. Just like McCain is phony baloney, we'll know that Pope Francis is phony baloney. Much more serious is his second option, and this is what I believe the news media wants him to do, because they are under the control of Satan. Satan wants him to take the daily sacrifice away from the prince, as prophesied by Daniel chapter 10, verse number 3. This is far more serious. This is what our Lord referred to in the Olivet Discourse. He told Catholics and everyone, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, then let those who are in the field not go back to take their cloak. And by the field he meant the Roman Catholic Church. And Mary prophesied at La Salette that Rome would lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist. And John says in the book of Revelation that the holy city will be trampled underfoot for 42 months. Now, Pope Francis has already indicated how he will take the daily sacrifice away from the prince. That is, how he will invalidate the Holy Eucharist, because that's what Daniel is prophesying about, and that's what our Lord is warning about. And he will do this by allowing communion to be given to people living in mortal sin. This goes against what Jesus said in the gospel. This goes against 2,000 years of church teaching. This will invalidate the Eucharist. Francis has been very reluctant to codify this as church law because he knows it will be his ticket to hell. That's why he doesn't want to do it. Satan is putting a lot of pressure on him to do exactly that. If he does that, you will then miraculously, or magically, I should say, see all of his criticism in the media disappear, because he will have performed his greatest act of deception in these end times. A lot of people will go along with this. So that's what we need to look for in the coming weeks. Number one, the head wound of the Antichrist, which is actually a wound, fake wound suffered by the false prophet, and the taking of the daily sacrifice away from the prince, where he will put into effect footnote 351 of his apostolic exhortation, Amoris Laetitia, where he says that people living in mortal sin may receive Holy Communion. That is a total lie. Now, let me do a little bookkeeping, because I haven't done a video in over a month, and I apologize for that, but I have been suffering from sciatica, and I have been concentrating on my daily rosary every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and I hope you join me, because every day we give praise and honor to the Blessed Virgin Mary. And as I say just about every day, she is the woman prophesied way back in Genesis 3:15 to crush the head of the serpent. And the serpent is Satan, and the woman is Mary. And we are the seed of the woman, and we will crush the seed of the serpent, who is the Antichrist and his minions. And no other Christian denomination, including my own Roman Catholic faith, is teaching that any longer. Only the Remnant Catholic Church is teaching that. And we are the stone cut from the mountain, which will become a great mountain itself and envelop the entire earth. Now, let me get to the bookkeeping I wanted to mention to you, because I've not been getting very many donations. I want to thank Michael. He donated yesterday. Thank you very much, Michael. I want to thank Edmund. He donated back in August. And here's my total for July, August, and September. I might as well tell you the finances of this mini operation. My total expenses for the month were $935. Not the month, July, August, and so far in September. In other words, for most of summer. And that includes the statue for my little shrine for the daily rosary. My donations, including were $310 for that same time period, including my sister's donation. She paid for the statue. And I did not get any money from YouTube this summer, because they don't send you a check until you've taken over $100, and my last check was in June. So I don't make much from YouTube videos. In fact, I don't monetize any of my rosary videos. And I urge you, once again, join me this afternoon and every afternoon for the live recitation of Mary's Rosary. Today, I believe, will be day 20 in our 54-day Rosary Novena. We are praying specifically for the United States of America and the upcoming midterm elections. My own personal intention is that Donald Trump will become a Catholic, as prophesied in Isaiah 45, verse number 3, and that his Protestant brethren will become Catholic, as prophesied in Isaiah chapter 5, verse number 3. Notice that rosary number, by the way, 53. And that's all I have for today. I hope I can join you again soon, but maybe not. In any case, you can visit every day at 5 p.m. in the afternoon at Eastern Daylight Time. And please join me in praying Mary's Rosary. The victory in these end times will be hers.